lead tech here at Wolfpen. I grew up here in Alpharetta, Georgia. I've been all over the country working on different companies as far as manufacturers like Porsche, Audi, Volkswagen, Subaru, and Ford. I went to college in North Carolina, and as I was getting more in cars as I was going through high school, I pretty much changed from going to engineering to now being an automotive technician. And what led to wanting to go to Porsche was the amount of engineering that went into all the cars. So I did 4 years of engineering in high school, and then I wanted to do a little bit more of hands-on and not just a bunch of math and sit in an office all day. So I got to experience with all the engineering aspect of Porsche. So I just went down the route of how can I become a Porsche technician the fastest way and being able to be at the highest skill level at that. And so that provided for me to move around the country and experience a lot of different things that a lot of people my age wouldn't do. So I got to go to North Carolina, and then California, and then Florida, and then back home. So I was able to see parts of the country I never thought I'd see and travel along all the different states. Now I'm back home around family, and now I can work on all the cars I want to. And I feel like the skill level is there too, so. So I've been working for Porsche for about 6 years now, altogether. And then in between that, I had a few years with Subaru and Audi. Most of those were short-lived though, just because I was advancing so fast. And then by the time I was out of college, it was straight to doing Porsche training in California. I feel like that question's a little bit hard because it's both are Porsche. So I love working on a GT3 RS, and I mean, that's like my favorite car to work on just because of how much stuff you see from a race car aspect and it being turned into a street car. So you have a lot of race car technology that's in a street car. So it's cool to see, you know, a little bit of both. And then you have like a club sport or GT2 RS club sport, which is just balls to the wall for the track and just a track monster. All right, well, yeah, I mean, like a 944 is probably one of the, actually, I take that back. A 300ZX is probably one of the cars I hate to work on, but it's one of my favorite looking cars. I think in general, as a manufacturer, I think it would be Ford. I just don't like their products at all. And I've worked on from all the transit vans down to a Focus, and it's just never been a fan of their stuff. And I think that's what like separates them between like, you know, Porsche. There's just so much thought and engineering that goes into Porsche that when you really start digging deep into Porsches, there's just like endless possibilities of like, you know, they tried this out, you know, they tried that out, and it's not just putting a car together, it's an entire like masterpiece and into one. It's like they created this crazy Lego set and just put everything together, but you know that it took that little corner of the car took that much longer to build, and that's what other companies are not doing. It's a little bit difficult because Porsches really don't have a whole lot of issues in the great scheme of things. A lot of it's mainly from vehicles just sitting and not a whole lot of miles put onto them. Especially like 911s, like letting a vehicle sit for that long. That's when fluid services need to be done, and anything that has a lot of miles, like a Macan, it's usually going to be like a transmission or minor things that most of it just comes from preventative maintenance that could have been done. And because they didn't do that, now that escalated to much bigger issues. For example, like doing a PDK service and not doing it, and then your transmission goes out at 100,000 or 130,000 miles, and now you're having to pay for a $40,000 service. That common problem would be like the car misfiring. Usually the cars will have the same like OEM spark plugs just because that service never got completed. For some reason, like the customers like to put that off. So I would say it would be like misfiring issues and also coolant issues, like water pumps have been common more lately with like 911s and Macans, especially the 4 liter uh, Cayenne GTS or Turbo. A lot of it is like the tire wear too, because they don't realize like the Porsches have such wide wheels that they're able to hide a lot of like the suspension issues and stuff like that, because like a new Cayenne is on 315s, or like a Panamera is on 315s. It's a super wide comfy tire, so it actually allows for all the issues with like a suspension to be hidden in a way until it gets really bad. But something like that would also be pretty common. A common thing that people don't think about when buying a used Porsche is one of the older ones, like a 996 or 997, that's a cab. So it's a convertible, and they don't think about the maintenance and the issues that can bring. So the cars aren't really meant to be outside 100% of the time. Yeah, they do have the cover, and for the most part it is waterproof, but they're meant to be driven with the tops down, and the convertible tops are never really serviced, and they're not really used. So when someone buys it now and it's a little bit cheaper and they use the convertible top a lot, then those mechanisms are feeling that age, and then it's pretty common for those to break. So it's something you don't really think about, because it's just a convertible top mechanism, but then it turns into several thousands in repairs. One of the older cars that are really good is like one of the last years of the 997. It's really robust, the engines are good, they didn't really have many issues, and the biggest thing to look out with those is just like a Carfax and making sure that it was serviced properly and it didn't just sit. Yeah, I mean, if it was like no budget at all, all day it would be a GT2 RS Club Sport, just completely reckless. It's a car that can be driven anywhere at any track, and I feel like that's the only thing that's missing, is having a street legal GT2 Club Sport. Something that'd be more realistic though would be like a new GT4 RS or Cayman platform, just because the weight and the size of them, in my opinion, they feel a little bit better than a 911. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to work on a lot of exotics, and nothing has ever been too crazy, but I think like a Koenigsegg like lineup would be cool, and because that's like the whole next level of engineering. So I look at it from an engineering perspective of how much work goes into creating a engine that doesn't use lifters or uses electric motors to control the engine, and they're at that level. So would love to like work on something like that and see what it's all about. I got into drifting early on, and from the beginning it just seemed like it was a lot cheaper to go and like go to a skid pad event where you can just do burnouts and donuts around a skid pad. But that's kind of what a lot of people have the mindset of. I wanted to do drifting to like push my skills as far as a driver. So I had a lot of like race car and track experience, but when a car gets out of control, you want to also be able to know how to bring that car back and not go into a wall or anything. So I got into drifting, and then that turned into just a lot of adrenaline and being able to also put a car together that's meant to have a car that's out of control, but you have complete control of it at the exact same time. And then that just escalates to more grip, more speed, and going sideways a lot faster. So I like to do that a lot. I'm currently still going to drift events, and that's what I like to do for fun. It's very minimal. If I'm not working on cars, it's working at home and working on renovations, and I like working with different projects around the house and testing my skills in a whole different industry. And that's pretty much the only other thing I would do, and just hang out with my girlfriend. It's a completely different animal. I mean, the job security is huge with like working at a dealership, but a lot of it becomes repetitive. You have, the certain jobs are here and there that are different, or you have one random issue that never comes to light with one of the cars. So that's one of the fun things working at a dealership. Usually you're like the person to fix all the random issues, but coming here, it's being able to work on everything and be able to bring my skill set, not just from Porsche, but across the board with all the other manufacturers, and be able to repair these cars as if I'm fixing them like the Porsche level. And I think that's what the city needs. They need a good shop that has that experience and that can also, treat Mustangs the same, treat Corvettes the same way, with a lot of attention, and bring all the skill set from Porsche to other manufacturers. The amount of training that goes into training a Porsche technician, it's multiple years of different technologies throughout the years and how the different systems evolve. And so that's also something that could be transitioned to like a different manufacturer. And just cars that are coming into here, they should be treated the same way. Especially the cars we're working on, they're going on the track every day. It also becomes a liability, and they need that attention to detail as far as the work and the parts going into the cars. I mean, trust me, there's days where I think about leaving the industry, and it's like I start to think like, what could I do? Would I go back to engineering or like architect or something like that? Something that's very intricate and requires a lot of attention and detail. But I end up going back to the cycle of, a car comes in and it's not even running, and it needs like hours and days worth of work. But at the end of the week, you're able to like get that car running and maybe even take it to the track. So it's being able to fix something that's completely broken, and you're the person that brought that back to life.